Over to you, Herb.
All right, so I guess I need to know how long does the meeting go?
Jason, 1 hour.
1 hour, and I'm going to talk at least for 30 minutes, and it may be just a little bit longer. I'll try to save some time for Q&A. I want to give a complete presentation is a strong word, but certainly a sharing of my understanding and my experience with step 2 for each of you. And my name is Herb, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is February 21st, 1984. I've been at this for a while. And I'm going to talk about step 2 today. I'm a big book fundamentalist and literalist in the best of senses. I read the big book. I try to understand what it says and what Bill Wilson intended. He wrote the book in 1939. So some of the vocabulary may be not quite as current as we have understanding of the words today. I'm not sure exactly if that will apply to any of the comments that I'll make about step 2, but I will be talking about step 2, and I will use PowerPoint slides to emphasize or at least illustrate some of the words and concepts to try to connect to. What I really want to do here today, I'm not here to impress you or actually to really even teach you. I'm here to share my experience and to inspire you. I hope that it will do that. I want to be effective. My one goal is to be effective so that you connect to some words or some concepts or some aspect of step 2 that you have not connected to in the past. That's my goal here. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to talk with PowerPoint for, as I mentioned, at least 30 minutes. I'm sure of that. And we'll see if it goes much longer than that. That's my website, herbk.com. It's a very robust library of resources. I'm serious. If you want some information on the 12 steps and or various aspects of the work that I do, go to my website. I also have a very robust YouTube channel. I don't know anything about any of that. I have people who support me, who do all of that for me. I couldn't describe it if I had a gun held to my head, but I can tell you about it. I have a YouTube channel that has a variety of playlists. You can go there. I'm not going to take the time today to talk about that, but it will have lots of recordings, lots of illustrations, lots of commentary, certainly on the steps, and very deep dive into each of the steps and to several topics like forgiveness, like meditation, like step 4 inventory. All right, enough. I'm going to be talking today about step 2. All right. Came to believe. So many of us, blah, 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 words and thoughts and noise, and we don't even know what we're talking about. We don't even understand that we're saying something. We don't have any deep experience with it. We're just repeating what we heard repeated in the rooms because we think it's either wisdom or it's poetry or it's powerful and we will look good, or maybe we have a really good, clean intention that we're trying to share something, although we may not understand it and we may not have any experience with it. I'm saying it that way because for 10 years, that was me. For 10 years, I had gone through the steps in my first year. My sponsor had said, get a big book and read it and do the steps. He figured that I was reasonably intelligent, fairly well educated. The book's in English. I understand English, and I could do that. He was wrong, but I did the steps anyway, not knowing that he didn't know and that I didn't know. about the big book and about the steps. I'm totally serious. And I mean, even probably today, he still is of the same, and I'm going to use a term that I don't mean to be dismissive or denigrative. He's ignorant. And he doesn't know that he doesn't know. Not my job, but it was my discovery. I didn't know that I didn't know. At 4 years of sobriety, 1988, I had an experience with the steps for the first time because I engaged a man who became a step guide. I'm using that term very carefully. Step guide. He wasn't a sponsor. He guided me through the big book and through each of the steps. He was a big book mechanic. And I had a spiritual awakening for the very first time. But not because I had any new experience with steps 2 and 3. I had a big experience with step 1 and a big experience with step 4. 3 years later, I went through the work again with another man. I blew by steps 2 and 3. I studied to be a Catholic priest for 7 years. I didn't know at the time that my concept of God, coming from my religious tradition and my training, was the very impediment to my relationship with the mystery. I'm saying that again. I'm very careful with my words. My concept of God was the very impediment to my relationship with the Spirit. At 10 years of sobriety, I went through this work again with another man, and he introduced me to the set-aside prayer. That was so important for me. I didn't know about a set-aside anything. I had never heard the words. 1994, 10 years sober. He said, Herb, you have a lot of information. Look at my hands. You have a lot of information, but you have very little transformation. And I knew that he knew that I didn't know. He said, you can't set aside your ideas. You can't set aside your information. You can't set aside your experience, even though you want to. It's a prayer for spiritual intervention. We're asking the Spirit, whatever that means to anybody, to enter our hearts and enter our minds and to open it up. I'm powerless to be open. I want to be. It's my intention to be. I try to be, but I can't do it. Reminiscent of step 1, right? Join me. Quietly or out loud, you're all on mute, I think. Well, maybe not. I'm going to put you on mute because I don't want you to misfire here. Everybody's on mute other than myself. And you're welcome to say it out loud. Pray the prayer. Prayer's not about words. Prayer's about intention. The intention here is for spiritual intervention. Spirit of the universe, please set aside everything that I think I know about myself. Steps 1 and 2, they go hand in glove. And you, for an open mind and an open heart, to have a new experience with myself, steps 1 and 2, and especially you. So we're in bondage. At least when we first come to the program, many of you may still be there. Bondage of addiction. The best kept secret in the rooms, though, is the bondage of unmanageability. What does that mean? I'm going to give a little indication of that. I talked at depth about it last month when I talked about step 1, because it's the most powerful part of step 1. The first part, addiction, I use the term addiction broader than just alcohol because the 12 steps are now applied to over 100, maybe over 200 different compulsive problems of human behavior. Substance and process addiction. A body problem, an allergy and a craving, according to the doctor's opinion, a mind problem, an obsession and a delusion. If you have no real key to or experience with those words, listen to the prior podcast that I did a month ago. But I'm really going to review unmanageability because I consider it to be the best kept secret in the 12-step rooms. at least in my area, I have limited exposure. It may not be true for you. Most people don't understand that unmanageability is the spiritual malady. Unmanageability is the problem. Addiction is a problem. Unmanageability is the problem. And it's a problem of the will. My will always choose me. And on page 62, you can see that Bill gave me that insight. Selfishness, self-centeredness is the root. And at the end of the second paragraph, and we can't even reduce it much by wishing or trying on our own power, aka we're as powerless over our will as we are over alcohol. Our body is defective, our mind is defective, and our will is defective, and it's a structural problem. It's a human structural problem. Not everybody is an addict, but everybody, 100% of the human race, has the problem of unmanageability until, in fact, they don't. And Bill saw that in the preface to the first edition, prophetic statement. Our way of living may have its advantages for all. Not all alcoholics, that wasn't a reference. Not all addicts, he didn't even have that concept. What he knew is, intuitively, that this process of the 12 steps would deliver anybody who engaged it to have a spiritual awakening and a spiritual experience. That radical shift in our consciousness, the radical shift in the way we think and feel and behave, done to us, not by us, but not without us. The real problem that brings us to the 12-step program is addiction, of course, a problem of the mind, insanity. Read page 37. Bill gives us the definition in the big book. I'm not going to spend any time on it right now, but it's critical to know what Bill means and the big book means by sanity and insanity from my standpoint. But it's more important that we know about unmanageability, the misuse of my will. And this is what it looks like. When you take the bedevilments from page 52 and you turn it into a personal pronoun present tense. Today, I don't care how much sobriety you have. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade, it doesn't matter. We have a daily reprieve from unmanageability. We're not cured of our self-centeredness. We need to live this way of life, steps 10, 11, and 12. Read page 84 and 85. Because on a scale of 1 to 10, it might not be a 10, it might be a 1, but there is some measure of unmanageability.
Let's go. Doctor ready.
All right, kids. Try to stay muted. There we go. I am having trouble with personal relationships. Is it true for you? I can't control my emotional nature. Is it true for me? I am a prey to misery and depression. All I've done is taken the bedevilments from page 52 and make it present tense and personal. I can't make a living in my meditation. I discovered I am never satisfied. There's not enough power or prestige or adulation or money no, I'm a black hole. I have a feeling of uselessness. I am full of fear. Many of these things were not true to a 10 level in 10 years of sobriety, but they were true at some level. I am unhappy. That wasn't true, except that I was restless, irritable, and discontent. And I really didn't care about helping other people. The Spirit said to me in my meditation, Herb, you don't care about taking the time. In fact, you don't actually want to use your time to help people, but you want the reputation of helping people. And I was being confronted with my own personality disorder. It's diagnosable. It was narcissism. And I saw that for the very first time as I unpacked unmanageability. So ask yourself, this is step 1. Powerless. And we become brain dead to the word. Use a synonym. Use this phrase. I have no choice. When I put Alcohol, I'm staying with that. Substance or process, you can, if you have a different addiction, use your own words. When I put it in my system or when I engage in it, I lose control. When I don't put it in me, and I don't want to put it in me, I put it in me. I lose control. I have a body problem and I have a mind problem. And even when I'm delivered to sobriety or abstinence, I do what I don't want to do and I don't do what I want to do. My will always choose me. Do I need help? Do I really want help? Is help available? This is the question now. The leverage of step 1, the springboard to step 2. Is help available? Am I willing to believe? What does that even mean? I'm going to look at the words. Words are very important. The best accompany book to the big book is a dictionary. If you don't know what belief means, or at least you are curious about perhaps what a dictionary might say, look it up. The dictionary expands and deepens our understanding and appreciation of words. And this is a term that came to me in my meditation. What is my invitation today? Here you are. There's a few people on the call today, right? Over 20 people on the call today. Why are you here? What's your invitation? A lot of people knew about this. A lot of people thought they might even want to join us, but they're not here. Here you are. You had an invitation by the Spirit, whether or not you're conscious of it, because you're here. What is your belief about, fill in the blank, power? What is your belief about God? No. I'm asking you to ask yourself right now here, not when you were first coming to the program, not even yesterday, today, right now, as you're sitting here with me. Interact, please. Get into the game here. What do you believe? You might want to even write it down. Put it into words. Notice I'm not asking you what you think, what you want, what you feel, what you know, what you've read, what you've been told. I'm not asking you that. Today, right now, I'm asking you, what do you believe? At 10 years of sobriety, given the set-aside prayer, when that man asked me that question, I was able to write out a wonderful treatise with my background. All right. I have a graduate education in philosophy and theology. I was very capable of writing a wonderful commentary on what I believe of theology. But then he asked me the next question, and I'm going to ask it of you right now. Hopefully you've thought about the first question. What do you believe? Right now, what do you believe about power, about God, about spirit, about the life force? What do you believe? But here's the kicker question. It parts the curtain for me. How do you behave? How do you behave in light of that belief? I was embarrassed. There was no harmony between my belief as I stated it and my behavior as I experienced it. I behaved as if there was no power. 10 years sober, having had 2 spiritual awakenings, I was still self-reliant. What brings this acorn to become that oak tree? What's the force? What's the energy? What's the soul of that acorn that allows it to become that oak tree? That's what we're talking about. Source, force, spirit. Spirit is a word that comes from the Greek word spiros, which means breath. Wonderful kind of insight into the word spirit. The wind, the breath, I'm not going to catch it. I'm not going to define it. I'm not going to understand it, but I can experience it. Step 2 is a choice. And it says it in the big book. On page 45, it says, Lack of power is our dilemma, and we have to find a power by which we can live. I'm quoting, not by which we can deal effectively with our addiction. It doesn't say that. We have to find a power by which we can live. It's talking about unmanageability now, the spiritual malady, that self-centeredness. And he said, where and how on page 45. I'll talk about that in a minute. But on page 53, as he leads us through physical and emotional and philosophical and salesmanship and poetry, on page 53, he asks us, what's your choice? Oh my God, it's so simple. God is or God isn't. What's your choice? We are confronted with the question of faith. I did that. I stopped. I paused. We are confronted with the question, well, what is faith? I had to look it up. I had to look up the word believe. What is faith? And I unpacked it. He says willingness on page 47. That's the key that opens the door. That's the key that parts the curtain. Willingness, just the willingness. You don't have to believe, by the way. You just have to be willing. Now, the man who took me through the steps said willingness without action is fantasy. So we need to put some behavior behind the action. Remember, that was the question I said. What is your belief and how do you behave? And you've heard it in the rooms, I'm sure. Act as if. That's really step 2. If, in fact, you have any resistance to power, any resistance to the word spirit, any resistance to the word God, the word G-O-D is not God. It spells the word God, but it's not the reality. It's the symbol that represents the reality for which there is no symbol. No adequate symbol. The image I have about that is, if you were at the beach and you had a very enjoyable time and you wanted to take the ocean home with you and you have a bucket, you can't take the ocean home because the bucket's this big. This is from 2nd grade, the good Catholic nuns. I remember the image. It was so powerful. The ocean is this big. The bucket is this big. The ocean does not fit in the bucket. Infinite does not fit into finite. God does not fit into a word. And Bill said that. Any word we use, in the big book, he says it, any word we use is wrong. Wrong in the sense that it's inadequate, because there's no adequate word, finite word, that can encompass and hold the infinite. Oh, that's right. This is the cornerstone, he said, of a spiritual arch through which we walk to a new freedom. I'm going to talk more about that as we get toward the conclusion of my commentary. But what is faith, I said? And I looked it up. It's not certitude. It's not a function of the body. It's not a function of the mind. There's no knowledge necessary connected to faith. By definition, it's the opposite. It's the acceptance of that for which there is no evidence. It's not emotion. It's not a function of the body. Well, what is it? As I looked at page 47, willingness. As I looked at page 53, God is or God isn't, what is your choice? I said, oh, it's about knowledge. It's about my choice. It's about the proper use of my will. Faith is merely my decision that it's so. There's no knowledge connected to it. There's no certitude connected to it. There's no feeling connected to it. There's no emotion connected to it necessarily. There might be, but it's not necessary. It's strictly this empty, dark, thin, invisible. I choose because I'm beaten by step 1 to a place where I am willing to not resist any longer. And I choose. There is help available. That's simple. I don't have to name it, but I need it. I don't have to name it, but I need help. All right. So my mind says that's reasonable. You see, that's the belief. When my mind says, I'm going to accept that decision as true. And then my body, I'm going to act as if it's true. That's the trust. That's the hope. Hope is the expectation that what this formula is real. Step 2, wonderful phraseology. Came to believe. Here I am 10 years sober with the background that I have. And I'm 10 years sober. And for the very first time, I understand the process of faith as nothing concrete. It's a decision that I make and an action that I take. Now, step 3, it will be the action, the minimum action that I'll talk about next month. It's a prayer. There's no other action in steps 1, 2, or 3. They're more an acceptance and an experience. Step 1, an experience that I need help. Step 2, that help is available. And step 3, that I'm going to ask for help and have a relationship with this, whatever it is. And each one of you has already made that decision and may be, in fact, even challenging your decision right now and making a new one. Are you is it like fish in water? Fish don't know about water, and yet outside of water they can't survive. Is that my relationship with this higher power? Do I believe the Spirit presides over us all, as Bill says on page 14? Simple but not easy. Simple but not easy. A price needs to be paid. It means the destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light who presides over us all. Read it, page 14 at the top. It's the summary of the entire program, worthy of a week's meditation. A higher power? What does that mean? Higher self, perhaps. Spirit of the universe, perhaps. Life force, perhaps. On page 55, he answers the question that he asks on page 45. Where and how do we find that power? He says, deep inside. The Spirit everywhere. Perhaps this is a metaphor that will be something that you connect to. That wave right there, it might be 300 feet and it might last for 30 days like a tsunami. And the wave is not the ocean. It has a unique existence, a temporary existence. And it rises out of the ocean, and the wave is not the ocean, but the wave is not the ocean. I'm very clear from my 4th step, I am not God. But I'm also very clear from my 2nd and 3rd step that I am not God. And there's a non-duality, and I don't mean to get too philosophical. But what is your choice about power? Right now here, you're invited. I'm inviting you, but you're invited by the Spirit by being here to make a choice, maybe a new choice, or maybe to reinforce the choice that you've already made. What's your choice about God? What's your choice about power? What's your choice about Spirit? Does it exist? Where does it exist? What is it for you? It's your choice. The chapter is We Agnostics, and he addresses agnostic and atheist. So it doesn't matter. You can be agnostic and atheist. It's okay. But is there help available? Help that you might not be able to understand or to define or even have a word for. Is help available? Some people use the higher self. Some people use the Holy Spirit. Some people use the true self versus the false self. God, I prefer the words God as I don't understand. The big book is wonderful and I understand the spirit of it, and it's the silver bullet of a 12-step program. God as we understand it. That's fabulous because it gives such inclusivity to everybody. But I like the words God as I don't understand it. And I use the word mystery. And I play with different words. Right now, I'm working with the word flow with a capital F. I love the word spirit because, as I mentioned in my opening comments, it's like the wind, the spirit, the breath of the universe, the breath of. The other day, I was in a workshop with somebody and they said, God is like oxygen. I loved it. I'd never heard it before. We need oxygen, and oxygen's available, and we breathe in and we breathe out, and it's the life force that allows us to sustain our life, oxygen. And I plug into oxygen every morning as I do my morning meditation consciousness practice. Came to believe, a process. And it might take a day, a week, a month, a decade, as it did for me, a decade. Meanwhile, are you willing to believe? Bill says that's the cornerstone of the spiritual arch through which we walk to a new freedom and act as if I'm in the bondage of addiction and I can be delivered. Bill says that on page 84. We are placed in a position of neutrality. But now I know I am unmanageable. At 10 years of sobriety, I had the experience of the bedevilments that were actually in my life at that time, not addiction. The bedevilments. Restless, irritable, and discontented. Is help available? It's your choice. What is your choice about your concept? What do you need? This is what brought me to concretize it for myself. What do I want? What are the qualities and attributes that I need God to have or to be? My choice of a concept, my choice of power, the word for it. And it changes as I do. My word, my concept, my relationship changes as I do. And I've been brought to freedom. Since 1994, I'm very clear I manage my life. My life is not unmanageable now, but I'm in partnership. Step 3 delivered me to a partnership with power. God's my managing partner. That's my current concept, like in a law firm. We have partners at the one level, and then we have a managing partner. On a daily basis, God's my partner. My managing partner, and I sit in the presence of the managing partner on a daily basis in my morning meditation, asking for guidance, the total point of meditation, my most favorite subject. Sort of like the GPS. I have a car. I know where I want to go. I don't know how to get there. I know how to drive, but I don't know how to get there. I put the address into the GPS, and then I listen, and I take direction. And when I take direction and the address is correct, I get to where I'm going to go if I follow those directions. Bill talks about building a spiritual arch through which we walk to a new freedom. This is my interpretation of that. Step 1 is a full surrender. The principle of step 1 from my standpoint is honesty. Based on my experience, I cannot deal effectively with my addiction. And then eventually I saw that I cannot deal effectively with managing my own life. I do what I don't want to do, and I don't do what I want to do. And I need a power. I'm willing to find that power. And I searched, and then I was delivered to a place of finding. certainly through step 3. That'll be my next comment on this process next month about step 3, forming a relationship of alignment. 2 words that are not necessarily in the material on step 3 in the big book, pages 58 to 63. But they're my interpretation of the essence of step 3, to establish a relationship of alignment with power, of alignment with the flow of reality. A path to freedom. If there is one word that could be the mantra for all of us, and I hope you hear it, is freedom from addiction, but that's the least of the promises, page 84. The most of the promises is a vision for you. Freedom from unmanageability. The ability to manage my life and the responsibility to do it and the power to do that on a daily basis. Thanks, everybody. So if you have questions or comments, experiences, disagreements, you're welcome to raise them today. I think we have 20 minutes, and through the reaction icon at the bottom, you can technically raise your hand, and or if you have a problem with the technology, just unmute and introduce yourself and share with us your question and your comment and or your experience, please. I won't call on anybody unilaterally. I don't want to put you on a spot, but I'm inviting you. If you have a comment or question or concern or an experience with step 2, let's try to stay focused on step 2.
Yeah, thanks, Herb. Great talk. The question is, because you just mentioned it, but my mind's a bit blurry this morning. You said the most important mantra is what, please?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. I mean, what's the motivation for you guys being here? What's the motivation for you being in a 12-step program? Some of us lose track of why we're here. We become so robotic in the words, we become so robotic in our behavior that we kind of like get into a habit and we're not even sure what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's all. I'm just trying to, consciousness is my ever-present challenge for myself as well as other people.
Herb, it's Elizabeth here. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciated all the that you put forward for us today. I have a question on something that I think you said, if I interpret it. What is the difference between ability and power? I don't understand that. Thank you.
Well, I'm not sure why you're asking the question, but look up the words for sure. But ability would mean I have the ability to do it. All right. But am I doing it? I know better, but I don't do better. I have the ability to do better, but I'm not doing better. So one is the capacity and the other is the exercise of capacity. So Bill says on page 58, rigorous honesty is essential. But there are some people that don't have the capacity for rigorous honesty. He said that's unfortunate. He's talking about a physical capacity, maybe sociopath or psychopath. But then he says there are people who are emotionally and mentally challenged, but if in fact they have any capacity for honesty, they can make it. Any capacity, but then they have to tap into it and exercise it. So I'm going to stop. Does that help?
Yes, it does a little. Where I'm thinking is that I'm coming from is now in getting my life more functional. I have, and I would take ability as I'm looking at it as being sort of knowledge of how to do something. but I don't seem to have the freedom to go ahead and perform the behavior that is functional in life. It's like I'm come from somewhere, but I'm not actually able to do the next few steps.
Okay, so what do you think is blocking you?
That is what I don't know.
Have you done a 4th step?
I'm currently on my 4th step with my sponsor, yes.
So the answer is no. I haven't done a 4th step, but I am doing it.
Right.
Yeah. So when you finish your 4th and 5th step, I think you'll have a much better idea as to the impediments to your power, to your ability to implement what you know is the principle or the right thing to do. Yeah. At least this was my experience with it.
Sounds like it could be true too. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that.
Well, just thank you for the question. It's a great question. I mean, it's the most relevant question for all of us. My sense of the first 9 steps, the first 3 steps are a relationship with power. The next 4 steps, 4 through 7, are a relationship with myself. And the next 2 steps are a relationship with other people. But 4 through 7 allowed me at 5 years of sobriety to understand the exact nature of my resentment and my fear and my dishonesty. And once I got embarrassed by the truth, I was able to reveal it in 5, which reduced it, eliminated a lot of it, and then 6 and 7 were the steps that course corrected my behavior. I'm powerless over changing some aspects of my behavior. Even though I know better, I don't do better. Step 6 says, as long as you're willing, and pray for the willingness. And step 7, doing the prayer, and then my sponsor added, and be accountable for your actions. My life changed because I was able to have the behavior then come into line with principle and decency, and eventually, after 2 years of prayer and accountability, have even my inclinations change so that I was able to want to do better and doing better. So the process of 4 through 7 for me was a process of a radical change in my ability to know better and to do better. Does that help?
Thank you so much, Herb. I think you've answered everything there, so I don't need to ask my question, but I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
Michael, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's see for a second. I'm tired.
I'm not hearing Michael, so I'm
my apologies.
I'm going to put Michael on mute and Nora on. She's muted. Nope, there we go. And I'm going to go in the order of the hands raised, please. Elena, please. Eliana, please. Eliana.
Thank you, Herb. I wanted to ask, how comes your concept of God was the impediment to your relationship with the Spirit, and why? And what is needed to have a relationship with God? Do you just write down the features of the God you have created? Thanks.
I'll answer it in more detail next month in terms of the relationship, but again, that's a decision. The step 2 is about a choice. Bill uses that word, so I said, well, why does he use the word choice in step 2 and the word decision in step 3? Choice is an act of my free will to choose this concept. Decision implies that there's an action. Decision, step 3, is a commitment to do steps 4 through 7. I make up the interpretation that that's why he used the word decision. Now, in terms of the question, there was not a robustness to the relationship. Certainly, when I did the work the first time, it changed my life and it changed my behavior, but I was still not consistent with my daily meditation. I didn't have the experience and the understanding that I needed daily guidance, that I still was wrapped around the axle of my self-centeredness. And doing the set-aside prayer and attitude, and then the work with unmanageability, gave me the experience that I'm actually powerless even over my free will unless I'm being guided by this power that I needed to have a personal relationship with, not just a textbook relationship with. For me, it was just an experience of making it personal rather than academic. Does that help? Yes?
So. I might need another one. Thank you.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Eliana. Gina, please.
Hi, thanks so much. I have a couple things. One is I just was curious, like, I wanted to say thank you. And it was really hopeful to share that it was like 10 years in recovery to get it. Because I've been in recovery for like 6.5, and the person in my family who like told me about recovery would like kind of yell at me and scold me and say, like, I just don't get it. Why you have to pray for the willingness to be willing. And intellectually, like, I'm smart, I got it. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get it. And I feel really blessed that I got it. And I did get it recently, and it was, I don't know. I don't know is this AA affiliated, or is it all addictions, inflictions, etc.?
I'm not sure what you're asking about the meeting itself. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a problem with alcohol.
It's open to all 12-step fellowships.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it wasn't like she's like, you're like an alcoholic, but you don't have the problem with alcoholism. So anyway, my addiction was to people, places, and things, specifically romantic relationship. And it wasn't until like I gave up what I thought was going to get me fill my God-sized hole, which was the relationship, that I was brought to my knees, and I actually got that connection and the willingness that I was like fighting for like several years. So I don't know if I have a question, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of confused as to like why it took me 7 years, but I guess it's neither here nor there.
Well, does it matter? Does it matter? Where are you now in terms of your relationship with power?
I mean, God, thank God I got it. It just was so painful to get here.
Well, okay, so let it go and be where you're at. Your history it's irrelevant, your history, other than to teach you about your present moment and to teach you about the mistakes that you made so that you don't have to make them again. But your history yesterday is irrelevant. Right now. Go ahead.
I don't want to slip away from it. I guess when you know something, you can't go backwards, but I get in fear about like losing the connection that I've had for the last 45 days in my
How do you know you've had a connection?
Sorry?
How do you know that you have a connection?
I know because I know what it's like not to be connected.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So on a daily basis, you foster that. Bill says, pages 84, 85, we're not cured. We have a daily reprieve. The proper use of the mind is to create a vision of God's will. The proper use of our will is to say, thy will be done, to align my will with my vision of God's will. That's the program right there. Steps 10, 11, and 12 deliver us to that alignment.
Thank
and Bill
you.
calls it our way of life. Yeah.
My only other question was, is this workshop, I just happened to see it in a random WhatsApp, is this at the same time next month, only once per month? Can you
It's
just tell me
one per
something?
month, and I don't know what day it will be. Jason, perhaps you could comment on that.
Yeah, it looks like it's the last weekend of the month. So it'll be at the exact same time. It will be posted multiple times in WhatsApp groups. So whatever group you were in that you got the information, it'll be there. Just lock the last weekend of the month in for Herb.
The last Saturday, or maybe Sunday for you, isn't it now? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'll be the last Saturday in the month for the Americans and last Saturday in the month for the Americans and last Sunday for the Aussies.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And be sure to visit my YouTube channel because it has weekly recordings of a year-long step process, and you could zero in on any aspect of steps 2 and 3 that you wanted to sort of delve more deeply in based on at least my understanding and experience. Thanks so much, Gina. Yeah.
Herb, I just add that I posted the link to your website as well. So, Gina, I'd encourage you to go to the website because there's like so much resources and Herb runs so many meetings. I mean, he's only given us a tip of the iceberg here. There's just so much more on offer.
It's true.
Step 1 is like a couple of weeks. Step 2 is more involved. So Herb's just given us a little bit here. There's so much.
I spend 3 months on step 1. So anyway, thanks very much for your support, Jason. Michael, please.
Thank you, Herb. I'm Michael, grateful alcoholic. And thank you, Jason, for setting this up, and Herb for all the service you do both in and outside this particular room. Main question I have is you touched on narcissism and psychopathy and sociopathy, or
which question?
Do you have any tips with when you're working with an individual of that ilk, who is pretending to do the work and do the service, and the fellowship is just a narcissistic, sociopathic means to power, control, prestige, property, gaslighting, and causing havoc and crazy making?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, my
brought
job
it to the right person.
Yeah, my job is not to judge them. My job is to help them work the steps and let God work with them. Yep. I work with people that are drinking on a daily basis. I won't work with them on the day they drink, but it sometimes takes 5 to 10 years for them to get traction in doing this work. The results are none of my business. It's my effort to expose them to the path. I shine the light on it, but they have to walk it. Thanks,
and
Mike.
By virtue of that, it's a very difficult concept, isn't it? For
what's a difficult concept?
To accept God as the center of the universe.
Well, it may be, unless your life depends on it. That's why step 1 is so important. I spent 3 months on step 1 so that there's a desperation out of their experience for a power that will be the life preserver that will save them from drowning.
Yeah, and just finally, if I may, I've worked with a lot of clergy, priests, nuns. Sometimes I'll say to them that, your conception of God has clearly not worked and kept you sober for a period of time, so perhaps try a new one.
Yeah, exactly. Most people need a God upgrade, right?
So again, if you've got anything useful I can take away with working particularly with people with strong religious doctrines,
that's none of my business. I think step 4 is really the key to help them unpack the levels of powerlessness once they begin to really understand the exact nature of their resentments and their fear and their dishonesty. It did for me anyway. It opened me up to needing
So using column 4 to highlight the lack of step 2.
Step 4, you're right. Yeah, step 4 to 100%. Yeah, a friend of mine says, in fact, step 4 is actually step 1 in writing. It gives us that intense experience of powerlessness. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Great questions. Thank you. And the other Michael, please.
Thank you for your talk. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been in AA and sober since 2003. Thank God. Actually, this month, 20 years in. Sober, not well. I've joined a number of different programs. There's one I need to talk to my sponsor, but I may have lost my sobriety in one of them yesterday. It basically through my kind of lustful kind of, you hear looking, you hear in the rooms, insanity going to step 2 is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's like I get locked in these behaviors and I'm kind of like, whether it's ogling or, underachieving.
You're in one of the 12-step programs for sex addiction?
A lot of lust, sexaholics, and more like lust. Yeah, yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, you need to really deal with your sponsor on, the evaluation of your behavior and that kind of thing. Yeah. How can I help you?
Just regarding step 2 in this definition of repeating the same behavior again and again, it's in another program I work in under Earners Anonymous. It's like we talk about museum states, like resentaholic, and it's kind of like
all right. Going. No. I understand all of that. How can I help you? What's your question?
You've already helped me tremendously. I've been making notes, but it's like. How can we bring this spirit of the universe, this kind of to help us in these times of need? Obviously, prayer and being conscious in the moment, but how to break that spell of it, kind of like getting under your skin and.
Well, step 10 is, as Bill calls it, the spot check inventory when I'm disturbed, but it sounds to me like you need to probably do some specific laser-focused work in step 4, especially around the sex inventory. The sex inventory for me was, the best part of it was to see my impact on other people, but the absolute best part was to create my sex ideal, to identify the principles on which I was going to base my future behavior. And then step 6 and 7 allowed me actually to incorporate that over time in my life. Yeah. So there's daily prayer and daily work and daily accountability. For me, the prayer was important because, of course, I need power. But accountability was the key, I believe, to my recovery in that area.
Yeah, my sponsor's got me on calling him every day at the moment.
There you go. Yeah. And then be patient with yourself. You're a human being, and we're not perfect, and we will make mistakes, and they don't name us, and we just get up and ride the bicycle again when we fall off. Yeah. Embrace the humility. I can't do this. I cannot do this. All right. But I'm going to make an effort. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be as honest as I can, knowing that I can't even be honest with myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like crying. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
And you know what? That's a very healthy response. That's a very healthy response. Yeah. Thanks, Michael, very much. Phil, please. Not hearing you, Phil. You may not be there. I'm going to move on. Jetty, please.
Hi, I'm David. I'm an alcoholic. No question. Herb just wanted to say thank you. Fantastic talk as always. I've consumed much of your content over the years, and I'm very grateful for your perspective on it. Taken some things, concepts of separating sponsor versus step guide into my, process of recovery 19 plus years in. I used to sponsor an army of people that was, checkered results. So now I sponsor 3 people, manageable, when I'm step guide to a large group, and it's been very effective. And I've also, with some people out here, we have incorporated this concept of let's study the book and then take it back to your fellowship. I'm not in a part of rural Illinois where it's basically just AA, and it's great AA out here. But there's little pockets of other fellowships that need recovery out of the book. And so we say, everybody come in, identify however you like, study this book with us, and then take it back. And much of that we picked up from you. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Oh my goodness. That's the part that sets me on fire, is to know that other people are carrying the message to other people. That's it. That's my total goal. Thanks very much, Jetty. Phil, I see you now. Are you able to unmute?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Very nicely. Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. I started to. Well,
here you are. What's up?
Yeah. Sorry. Well, I think your original question was on step 2. Was that right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, I've done my step 1 today through prayer to ask God to keep me sexually sober and also for a vital spiritual experience. And then, not long after that, I thought, well, I've got to make the plan, and I have to have God's influence in that. And as I'm writing it down, I'm thinking, well, I've got to do all my medications and all this sort of stuff. And lo and behold, he said, do this meeting first. And so that's why I'm here. So I think that was the second and third step. So, and then I noticed that my plan said, well, I'll go to Mass around 11 o'clock. There's a Mass at 11 o'clock in the city. I can have lunch in there.
So Phil, I'm not interested in your story. What is your comment on step 2?
Well, I'll just leave it at the comment on step 2, that a statement that I made about what I've done. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. Zamir, please.
Thank you, Herb, for this session. Thank you, Jason, for your service. My question, you mentioned something in your talk, and it was this statement: the concept of God is the impediment to the relationship of the Spirit.
For me.
Yeah. For me. It would be appreciable if you could elaborate on that. What does Spirit mean here, and how does this act as an impediment to the concept of God?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought because I had some information about God that I had a relationship, but it wasn't personal. It was academic. It was here. Once I saw that step 2 is actually a choice about, then I began to have an experience, because I made a very conscious choice about what that Spirit is for me today, not from my courses in theology, but from my actual experience with my unmanageability. What do I need today? And my first relationship was teacher-mentor. guide. I needed that, and that put some juice into my step 11 meditation so that then I was able to do that on a daily basis, to sit in the presence of this guide, this mentor, this teacher, and to listen to the guidance that I received on a daily basis. It made all the difference in the world to go from an academic relationship where I believed to a existential relationship where I acted as if I believed. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does make sense to you. And I have one more question. It was, you mentioned...
hey, Herb, I do have to go, Herb, so we'll have to wrap it up. Herb.
Sure.
Whatever you say. I'm not sure what that means. Does Zamir get a chance to ask his questions, or are we going to stop?
Well, I mean, just if we can wrap it up soon, because we did say we're only going to go for an hour.
Well, but anybody who wants to leave can leave. I mean, I'm okay with that. I can stay for a while. So I would be interested in having conversations. If you don't mind, anybody who wants to leave can leave, and I'll wrap it up when everybody's gone.
Okay, then, Herb, I've got to go. See you guys.
Thanks very much, Jason. I'm going to continue here until the questions are done, because I'm loving it. Thanks. Zamir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Herb. You mentioned in your talk that after 10 years of sobriety and after attaining 2 spiritual awakenings, you had a lot of information, but not a lot of transformation. So,
correct. Right.
What does that mean? Like, I didn't get that part.
Well, what do you think transformation means?
Transformation. It's transitioning to the required state.
Well, now you're mouthing words. Tell me really what it is you think it means.
Transformation.
What is step 12 says? Wait. Step 12 says having had a spiritual awakening. What does that mean? What's a spiritual awakening?
Spiritual awakening.
You don't know.
I do not know.
All right. Read Appendix 2 in the back of the book, page 567, 568. Bill explains a spiritual awakening and a spiritual experience. My summary of it is a change in the way we think and feel and behave. A change. Transformation is a change. A monarch butterfly goes from having a caterpillar that goes into a chrysalis that comes out a butterfly. That's a transformation, a radical change. And the spiritual awakening, from my standpoint, Appendix 2 in the back of the books, really captures a change in the way we think and feel and behave, and it's done to us. That's God. And not by us, but not without us. That's the willingness to do steps 1 through 9. And when we finish steps 1 through 9 on page 84, it says we are radically changed. We're placed in a position of neutrality. We enter the world of the Spirit. That's what it means. Does that help?
Thank you. Yeah, it does help a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, read Appendix 2. It tells you what the purpose of the 12 steps are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I see Jason's yeah. Oh, another Jason. All right. Hello.
Hey, wonderful stuff. I'm going to try and keep my question related to step 2. One of the things that changed my entire recovery journey was the quote you used by Einstein: the same consciousness that created the problem can't be the same consciousness to fix the problem.
I quote it all the time. It's wonderful. Yep.
Yeah, love it. And, my problem was exactly like what you said. I wanted to be seen doing good, not doing good, because I know that step 12 saves my life. I wasn't transmitting something I had. So your awareness, you just putting that in English for me and me hearing that message was enough to change. Yeah. So is step 2 just
is it just becoming aware? Like, why didn't I hear this 30 years ago?
Right, exactly.
So that's my question. Is that I'm so insane I can't see my own insanity?
Well, one of the experiences that I had with step one is in terms of I didn't know that I didn't know, and I couldn't see that I didn't see. That was embarrassing. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're smiling because you have an experience with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. And fortunately, this process wakes us up and allows us, once we become awake, to become embarrassed, to be humble enough to ask for help. Yeah. Anything
Amazing,
else, Jason?
Herb. I love you and want you to know that your wisdom has changed my life, and there's no going back in regards to my awakening now. It's almost like an awakening on a deeper level. Thank you.
Right. No, you're welcome, Jason. That's my experience too. Eliana, is that yeah? All right, good.
Perfect. Thank you, Herb. Well, my question is you mentioned acting as I believe, and my question is, acting as I believe, is it the same as fake it until you make it?
It is 100% that. Yes.
Okay. Great.
Fake it until you make it, and that's not fantasy. It's not Disneyland. We're not doing fairy dust. We're just saying I'm going to act as if I believe. I'm going to act as if I care. I don't care, but I'm going to act as if I care. And eventually, well, it's kind of like in the step two, and you hear it all the time. Maybe your own sponsor has said it. I don't care what you believe, but pray. Just pray on a daily basis. Eventually, something happens, and we go, oh, I believe there's something I'm praying to now.
Is it kind of the same as this self-esteem workshop, work that I could do, looking at the mirror and say, I love you? I don't feel like that. But then,
in a way, I'm not so much encouraging New Age kind of positive psychology in that sense. But in terms of self-esteem, what I have heard is when you do esteemable things, you begin to develop self-esteem. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. When I am thoughtful and considerate of other people, just because I know it's the right thing to do, eventually it's something I want to do.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, great questions. Thank you. Gina, please.
Hey, I just had another one that came off of someone else's question. So what you were describing before, was there a difference, or what is the difference between the spiritual awakening and the transformation? Like, if you, in a quick
I don't think there's any difference. The Appendix 2 talks about the difference between an awakening and an experience. Awakening is very slow and experience is very sudden. And my image of that, to exemplify it, is a light switch is like an experience. You turn the light switch, it goes on, boom. You hit the light switch, boom, it's off, it's dark. A dimmer switch, you turn the dial and you have a little bit of light. And then you turn the dial again and you get a little bit more light, and then a little bit more light. And that's my experience. So it took 10 years for the lights to get bright.
But how could you have a spiritual awakening twice without a transformation? Because it resonates.
Oh,
with
no,
me.
I had it. I had transformation, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I had it at the 2 level. Then I had it at the 4 level. Then I had it at the 6 level. Yeah, great questions.
Thank you.
Ah, no, that's right. And well, wait, we're in relationship with light, right? Right? We're coming out of the darkness to have a relationship with light. But here's the real thing that's going to open up your heart. It's infinite light. There's always going to be more. I mean, this is paradise for addicts. There's always going to be more.
Thank you.
I mean, that's the adventure, right, Jason?
Awakening. Yeah, I love it. Makes me smile.
Right. Thank you, guys. Well, you've been wonderful, and I really appreciate your being here. Let's see if I have a prayer to carry us out. Let's see. Are there any other questions? Any other comments?
Just more appreciation here. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. I don't think I have a closing.
Just one question.
Yes, please, Mike.
Thank you. Just curious of when I look at the relationship between the William James and a variety of religious experiences, which then became spiritual experiences, and the Oxford group were trying to put real spirituality back into service.
Back into religion, right?
Yeah. And service and charity to mankind. I've more and more, as I have been on my path, experienced that the only true experiences I have with the depth of step 2 is through service.
I agree 100%. Yep. That's the real litmus test of an authentic spiritual awakening, is that you organically actually want to contribute.
Yeah. And I can now see that in so many other religions or areas of different philosophy. But I'm curious as a scientist, engineer, amongst other things, that why did he use the word power and powerless? Why not force, or why not? And I've never really understood that and got to the basis of that. And the other, if I could throw one more question in at you, I don't know if you can enlighten me on it. The chapter's called We Agnostics. It's not called We Atheists and Agnostics. Right. And when I looked at the term agnosticism, so you're probably the perfect person for me to ask here. There seemed to be something happened politically around 275 or 300 AD between Carthage and Rome and Alexandria, where the word agnostic, which was a powerful word, I don't know God, suddenly became a dirty word, and Gnosticism was the order of the day. And it just seems perfect that Bill has chosen for me agnosticism for that chapter, because only through not knowing God do I start to get to know God. So I don't know if
there was a lot of I mean, it's a wonderful history. I don't know about the origins of agnostic and atheist. I can tell you, though, the words themselves come from Greek. Agnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, Gnosis, which means knowledge, knowing. And when you put an A in front of it, it means not knowing or doubt. In contrast to the word atheist, which comes from Greek theos, which means the divinity, the god. Zeus actually is the original. And when you put an A in front of it, it means no God. So the atheist is firm. There is no God. There is no divine. It's not debatable. There is not. And agnostic says, well, we really don't know. We kind of doubt. We don't think so, but it's not knowable. And so Bill probably, I have no idea why he chose that word and not we agnostics or we atheists. I don't know why he didn't, actually combine them, because in the page itself, he says agnostic and atheist, and he says 50% of us are that way. It doesn't matter. All right. In fact, there's a group of agnostics and atheists in AA. I mean, in Toronto, and anybody who wants a connection with them, I can give it to you, a guy named Joe C. But he says, not a problem. Because if you've had an experience with step one, an experience, not just knowledge, then you know that you need help.
Yeah.
And so then you have to come to grips with, is help available? And I like it that simple. Is help available? So you get to choose what, and Bill didn't come on that. I mean, there was a huge debate about the word God. And so the resolution to the debate was to use an alternative word like higher power. And I don't know why he used the term power rather than force or source. I mean, today we probably have a much broader vocabulary about that rather than in the very limited view of the white, privileged, middle class Protestant people that he was dealing with in the Oxford group. But he wanted to at least liberalize it to say, you get to choose. I mean, and Ebby had said that to Bill, as I heard it in a tape. I've not seen it in writing. He was asked in an interview, well, where did you get that comment, Bill, choose your concept of God? It's in the big book. And he said, oh, I got it from the Oxford group. Which just shocked me, because the Oxford group was a group of evangelical, fundamentalist Christians. And for them to have said that, and I assume that Ebby got it from them, was actually quite a liberal inclusivity that I didn't know was available at that time. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for that.
No, great questions. Wonderful questions. There's lots of, but we keep it, I want to keep, I have tendency to make things very complex, but it's really important to stay very simple. Page 53 just knocked me out of the park in the sense of opening my heart. God is or God isn't. What is your choice? That's all it is. I choose. And then I choose to act as if my choice is valid. That simple. And then, of course, I begin to get flooded with different words like you're using: force and source and light and power and mystery. I love the word mystery because I don't know. I still, as we're talking here, I don't know whether any of what we're talking about is really true. And I don't care. Because for 35 years, my life has flourished when I live like this. Flourished. That's the word I use. Yeah. Thanks, Michael, very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rick.
You bet.
Thank you.
Anybody else have some thoughts, some questions, concerns, pushback, experience? All right. You've been wonderful. Thank you. And thank you. Oh, Gina, you want another shot at it?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you because as I've gotten on this journey, and then my life has been so big and beautiful in ways you can't describe. And the cash and prizes that I was after my whole life actually came as a byproduct of my spiritual growth and dedication. But then it's almost like my reality is most people's non-reality. And then it's like, well, is it okay that my life is this way? But it's really affirming. I don't really care because the alternative wasn't working for me and this does. So thank you.
I'm a practical person, just like that. A practical person. Does it work for me? Does it deliver me to the life that well, first of all, it's way beyond as you just said, it's way beyond my ability to even conceive of it today. Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, everybody. Wonderful discussion. Looking forward to seeing some of you next month. Let's join in the serenity prayer. Pay attention to the words. We don't control anything. We don't control. We influence. What do we influence? All right. It's very limited. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage, change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
About the difference.
Thanks, everybody.
Thy will,
Thanks,
not mine,
everyone.
be done.
Yeah, well, that's the perfect prayer right there, Jason. Thy will be done is the use of my free will to be in alignment with at least my idea of reality or God's will. That's right. Exactly. 100%. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Herb.
Herb. Bye, everybody.
Bye, folks.